Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through. Go check out my website at skyazrael.com. Let's talk about being under construction. You've seen that sign as you drive around town, under construction, bridge under construction, building under construction. You may have seen it on a website. You go to see a website, the website isn't even up. It's taken down for some reason, and it'll say a little message, under construction. We used to have a page on the website that I had for my Sinister City Motorcycles company. I own a motorcycle shop if you're new to the channel. And the page wasn't completed yet. It was just a new idea. We were starting an apparel section, and in the beginning, when you clicked on the apparel button, you would be taken to another page and it would say under construction, insinuating there's more to come. A lot of us have this kind of notion that we ourselves are under construction. And I think that's kind of a proper analogy. You're building yourself. You may be restoring yourself in a process of maintenance, an upgrade even. But that doesn't mean you have to be shut down or closed. You know, I lived in Washington, D.C. as a child in my schooling age. As soon as I got to be 18, almost as soon as I graduated high school, I bounced off the East Coast, went back to the West Coast. But I spent a lot of time in D.C. downtown near all the government buildings, the ones that you may have seen on television. The Capitol building, which I've been in, and I have some funny stories about the Capitol building. Although I might have to talk to a lawyer first to see if I can tell them. But the Capitol building has, my whole life, it's always under construction, always. You drive by that thing any time of year, it doesn't matter if it's this year or next year or last year, there's always going to be scaffolding along that building somewhere. In some corner of it, some side of it, could be the roof, could be the back side, the front side, who knows. But it's always, you'll never just see it completely just done and complete. They're always working on it. Now, it's an old building. There's no options to tear it down and build something new. That's what a lot of people like to do when buildings get old. But this one, you know, it has history and we're using it currently. We can't just get rid of it. And they don't shut the Capitol down for that construction. Sometimes the construction's pretty major. You drive by it and it looks like the whole thing is kind of sheeted off with that construction sheeting they put over the scaffolding. You'll be like, geez, what are they doing? But it stays open. Our government stays open. People show up to work. You can continue to function even if you're under construction. Let me say it the other way. Being under construction does not mean that you are dysfunctional. Just because you're working on yourself right now doesn't mean you're a dysfunctional person. You're perfectly fine. This is part of life. You will go through one of these three aspects of development your entire life. You will go through a restoration, a maintenance, or an upgrade. You'll always be in one of those. You'll always be in a process of maintaining yourself, of upgrading yourself, or of restoring yourself. You'll always do that. Just like a vehicle. I mean, you're kind of like a machine. The Capitol building is such a big building. And there's so many interesting aspects to it architecturally, if you get into architecture at all. I like buildings. I think that buildings, some people don't care, but I notice cool looking houses, cool looking buildings, interesting architecture. The Capitol building is definitely a fascinating building. Could have just made it a big box that has kind of this Greek temple kind of look to it. And so we honor it. And it almost feels like it's a living structure in a way that you know that there's something going on in there when you drive by it. Something important. There's thinking going on in there. There's decisions going on in there. This is just like within you. You have to maintain your function as you move forward with your life. I know people that they kind of look at personal growth, building yourself stronger, as an off-ramp. Like you get off of the path for a while and you are building yourself. So I'm not on the path, I'm building myself. Those are two different things. I'm over here while you guys are moving forward, and I'm gonna sit over here in pit row, if you know about racing, and sit over in the pits while you guys are still going around the track, because I need a new set of tires or some new windshield wipers or more gasoline or whatever. But I don't look at it that way. I think that's a bad way to look at it. You don't get off the track when you're in this life. You don't stop moving forward just because you need to fix yourself. You need to gas up. You can do that on the go. Look at those jet fighters. You ever seen that shit where they gas up and it's like a gas-fueled jet will come up to a fighter jet and that big long thing comes out and they're still flying. It's replenishing its energy and they're still moving forward. So you can do this. I find building restoration fascinating. I've always had kind of an interest in masonry. The only experience I ever had with a mason was a friend of mine's father, who was a very well-known artisan in the Washington, D.C. area. And he was a mason, not a mason from like the Masonic temple, but a mason meaning that he works with stone. And he was hired to restore a very famous old building down in D.C. in a really bad neighborhood in northeast D.C., really bad section. This is back in the early 1990s, late 1980s. I think it was the early 90s. And D.C. was on fire back in those days. Murder capital. It was the worst place on earth. And I'm down in one of the worst neighborhoods in the worst city on earth. Cops don't like to go down there. You see cops down there, they look like stormtroopers. And he wanted me to help him. So I thought that I was going to learn some masonry that day. It was my first day on the job, and I was excited to be helping this guy just because it was a foot into that trade. We get down there, he shows me the building. He's going to restore some cracked bricks or whatever they are in the base of the building. Cool old building that's been there for 150 years. It's the cool thing about a city like Washington, D.C. is many of the buildings are really old. Living in California, nothing's older than 100 years because it used to be Mexico. D.C., you have buildings that are 300 years old, 400 years old, things like that. So it's a really old building. Fucking drug dealers and gangsters everywhere. The place was like right in the middle of a red light district. He tells me, all right, the only reason why I brought you down here is because you're big. You're going to stand behind me for the entire time that I'm working on those stones. So my back is going to be turned to the world because I'm going to be working on the building. You need to stand behind me and guard me. That's all you're going to do today is guard me. And I was just like, what, people fuck with you or something like that? And he's like, yeah. I've been down here for the last 2 days working by myself. And all these people around here fuck with me. Like, pick on me. He's like, a guy walked by me the other day and kicked me right in the back. Just kicked me. Just walked by and kicked me. And kept on walking. He's like, fuck that shit. I'm being paid good money for this. We have to restore this building, so you're going to protect me. So I'm down there, looking mean. Anybody that walks by, I flare my nostrils. Like a goon. And that's all it was, and it was a mellow day. And I learned nothing about masonry. I hope you guys can stay moving forward as you're working on yourself. You're not perfect. You're not there yet. I know it. I'm not either. I work on myself every day. I outwork every single one of you watching this. And I don't care what you do today. I don't care what you got on your little list, motherfucker. I got a list too, and I'm doing more than you today. I've been doing this shit for 20 fucking years. And I haven't slowed down. If I can do it, you can do it. Anything I can do, you can do. It's all food for thought.